Well guys, it's the video that you and I have all been waiting for. I got a call from Stihl Corporate. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of saving time, money, and frustration while fixing your own small engine equipment while watching in-depth tutorials, you've come to the right place because that's what I do. I upload a couple times a week, and if that sounds interesting, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I will reply to all the early commenters. Now, to catch you up just a little bit in case you haven't been following along on this whole chainsaw saga, I have a commercial customer who I've known for over a decade. He's more like a friend than a customer, and he had purchased two Stihl MS362s at the beginning of 2025. A few months after he had them, he ran into running issues. They were either not starting or they would just run away with themselves. They acted like they were sucking air. So he brought them to me in May of last year. Now, I did make a video on one of these chainsaws. I will put a link to it in the description box below so you will know where this whole story started. In that video, I did a ton of adjusting on that chainsaw. I couldn't figure it out. It pretty much stumped me until all of a sudden I cleaned the tank vent and it suddenly started running fine. I had Ron take it outside or put it in the wood. It ran great. I gave it back to the customer. But a few weeks later, it did the same exact thing. It was a progressive problem. It just kept getting worse and worse. But what you guys didn't know at that time is I had his other saw, the identical one to it, in the repair shop, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. It just kept running sporadic, if it would even start at all. So when he brought that saw back to me, I went to Facebook because I'm not a Stihl dealer. I don't know all the secret service bulletins or the common issues that a Stihl dealer who sees these saws frequently might know that I don't. And when I asked my guys on Facebook, they were quick to respond. They said, oh yeah, there is a service bulletin on those chainsaws. If you have them taken back to the dealer, they'll check the manifold, see if it's an issue, and replace it under warranty. So I was like, yes, we figured it out. I'm done with these chainsaws. I'm going to have my customer take them back, fix them under warranty, and they should be good to go. But that's not what happened. I didn't think about the chainsaws anymore. I went on vacation, came back, and in the beginning of December, I get a hold of him and I said, hey dude, did you ever get your chainsaws fixed? And he said, well, I took them to the shop. They did not do the warranty repair. They did replace both carburetors and do two leak down tests on them and charged me $300. He said he got his chainsaws back, has been running them for a couple weeks, and they both are doing the same thing. One is still running sporadically, and the other one is smoking like crazy. He asked me if I would go to the repair shop with him and maybe explain it better, because obviously there was still something wrong with these chainsaws. And that's what I did. We went to the repair shop. They said, okay, we'll check him out. 3 days later, he gets a phone call. He's at the shop picking him up, and they're charging him another $150 for leak down tests. And they said they also did carburetor adjustments on him, thinking that when he brought the saws to me after the last repair that I had messed with him, but I hadn't. The carburetor adjustments were still theirs. So we were really irritated about all those leak down tests that he had to pay for. Now, when he got the saws back this time, after I did a small adjustment still to the carburetor, they started running fine. But I couldn't leave it at that. I was a little irked. I've been in this business for quite a long time, and I was an Echo dealer forever. I was pretty sure that if there is a service bulletin for a certain serial number set of saws, and those saws have those exact running issues, if I were to run a test that my distributor said to run to make sure that, there isn't a manufacturer defect, that I could bill my distributor for having to run those tests. So I didn't understand why my customer had to pay for his leak down tests. So I called customer service to find out. And let's just say my experience with customer service was not that great. So the gist of that conversation was I was calling to see why my customer had to pay for the leak down test at all. That if they were under this service bulletin, wouldn't Stihl pay for them? Well, at the beginning of the conversation, he said that there wasn't even a service bulletin on these chainsaws, which I was holding in my hand at the time. And then once he figured out that there was a service bulletin, he pretty much made me feel like, why am I even involved? It should be between the customer and the dealer and them. When I tried to explain that, my customer might run these chainsaws every day, but they don't know anything about warranty or service bulletins, that I was advocating for my customer. If you haven't seen that video, I will leave a link in the description box below. It was so bad, in fact, that when I got off the phone, I was shaking mad that I got on Facebook immediately and I tagged Stihl in a post and I said, hey, you might want to get a hold of me before I make my next video. 10 days later, I didn't hear anything. So I let the world know about my call. Now, this was in the middle of Christmas break, and only 2 days after I put that video out, I got an email from Stihl Corporate. They said they are in the middle of their break, they won't be back until Monday, but they would love to get a hold of me and the owner of the chainsaws because they want to restore our confidence in the Stihl brand. And I was all about it. Heck yeah, give me a call. So last Monday, I get a phone call from Jeff, who is head of the technical department for Stihl Corporate in Virginia. And I had already met Jeff 2 years ago at the Equip Expo in Louisville, Kentucky, and he was super nice then. He said, anytime you need any kind of information, please call me. I'm more than happy to help. Unfortunately, though, that day he ran out of business cards. I had forgot his name, and I had no idea how to contact him. But on this call, he apologized profusely. He said he is so sorry that we had this experience, especially, my experience with the customer service, my commercial customers' experience with his chainsaws, and he wanted to make it right. And now I know what you're thinking, that the only reason they're doing this is because I have this huge platform and called him out on it. But really, this aligns perfectly with any experience I've ever had with corporate dealing with customer service. There were many times, it didn't really happen as much at my shop, but especially customers that would buy their units from big box stores, like if you went and bought an Echo from Home Depot or something like that, and you couldn't get any kind of good service in the area you were, they would just keep going up the ladder until they got a hold of corporate. And corporate would get a hold of me, even though they weren't my customer, they were from 2 towns away, and say, make this customer happy. And just like Echo, that's what Stihl did. First, they wanted the saws back because they want to know exactly what's wrong with them too. They went ahead and gave my guy 2 brand new Stihl MS362s, and for the money that he spent on the repairs, they gave him a bunch of bars and chains. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then they tell me that they actually pay somebody to watch all my videos to keep up with the things that, I see wrong with Stihl, and were really surprised that they didn't know about the Facebook post I made. So I thought that was pretty cool. The videos I make and all the views that you give me really are making changes with corporate stuff. He also said that after my video, they had a ton of my viewers calling in and leaving emails saying that they needed to get a hold of me and fix this situation. So I thought that was really cool for y'all to have my back like that. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. Stihl saw the problem, they acted fast, and they remedied the issue. Jeff also said that he watched my video and saw that I have a bunch of Echo clothes and a bunch of Husqvarna clothes because Husqvarna sent them to me, and that I never wear any Stihl stuff. And I told him, yeah, that's because I don't buy clothes. And he said, don't worry, I got you. And they sent me a ton of stuff from beach towels to sunglasses to coasters to a bag to a full get up for safety gear, which I thought was pretty cool of them. So you might see me wearing Stihl stuff in some of my videos now. Doesn't mean I'm bought out. I don't have any sponsors, but I'm all about taking some free clothes. Now, after they fixed the whole situation, I thought they'd ask me to take my old video down. They didn't, but they did ask me to let everybody know that they did make it right. And I told them, of course I would. Because those of you that have been around for a while know I am completely transparent when it comes to all this. I have no allegiance to any single brand. I own a ton of Stihl equipment. I own a ton of Echo equipment. I can't say I own a bunch of Husqvarna equipment just because I don't know why. I just don't. I mean, I have a ton of Poulans. I have everything, okay? I love all equipment. There's certain great things in every single brand. But there's also some lemons. And when I find them, I'm going to call them out. And it's just a reminder of why I'm here, because I want to save you time, money, and frustration. So thanks again for tuning into Chickanic and catching up on my happy ending. If you find yourself coming back over and over again, think about hitting that subscribe button. And if you ain't tired of me yet, check this video out right here.